What is going on, everybody? It's your boy Edward V, and today we're going to talk about if the American Heart Association is actually killing people. Coming up. So this gentleman by the name of Kevin Michael Geary, the CEO and founder of a company called RebootedBody.com, wrote an interesting article regarding the American Heart Association. In this article titled, "Is the American Heart Association a terrorist organization?" That's a pretty brash and unapologetic title, if you ask me, but he has interesting points in there. One thing that I've mentioned time and time again when it comes to the intermittent fasting movement is to be mindful, to be in the most real world possible. And that means that just because a doctor is saying one thing, or just because a scientist is saying one thing, are there layers that are preventing that person from telling you the full story? And that's kind of where he touches on. He actually touches on the layers that could prevent the American Heart Association from actually giving you the true story, because they've become so big. They have over 22 million members in their organization that the money grab may have infected them, or it could have been set up that way from the beginning. You see, the biggest funding companies that put money into the American Heart Associations are the pharmaceutical companies, and companies in which they are almost always in line with their studies to use that specific product or food group. For example, corn oil. They push for you not to use specific things like coconut oil and use corn oil, even though coconut oil has shown evidence to be healthy, but they constantly drill that it isn't healthy. Their heart check that they put on every box, every product, that there's a cost associated with that, which with an annual renewal fee associated with that. So if you want to be known as a health conscious company, you want that American Heart Association heart check on your product, because it will make you seem more healthy. But that therein lies the problem with when there's money involved. Are they giving you the correct information? Now I'm going to go ahead and dive into this article briefly, but you can go ahead and actually read the full article. I will link it in my description. But in the article, he states that there is a push to say that coconut oil is, unhealthy. This is being pushed by the American Heart Association, and it's saying that it causes cholesterol, high levels of cholesterol, and this high level of cholesterol can cause you to have heart disease. But the problem is that there are actually good cholesterols that do assist you, and the lack of those cholesterols actually can be harmful for your body. The person that's writing the article is arguing that fact, and is also arguing the fact that the cholesterol that causes heart disease is not the cholesterol that comes from coconut oil. They also fight hard against fats. They try to push the notion that fats are bad for you, and it's easy to propagate that fats, saturated fats or fats in general, are bad for you, because fat, even the word fat, just the word fat for someone, or the word fats for someone, is looking at that, they don't even think of it as a macro. A lot of people just think of it as, oh, this fat, I don't want fats. Fats have to be bad. Why would I want fats to go in my body? Do I want more fats? No. So he's stating that they propagate that notion, they play with that, and they say that saturated fats are bad for you, and they say, oh, this is fat free, this is this and that and that. Fat free doesn't mean that it's not going to put fat in your body. Fats are just a macro like every other macro that contains its nutrients, and just like protein contains its nutrients and carbs contain its nutrients, each have their negative effects too. If you have too much of it, you could have proteinuria. If you take too much protein, where you're overloading your body with protein. Your kidneys are over exceeding itself with protein. If you have carbs, you can gain more. You can raise your insulin a lot. You can have a lot of sugar, broken down glucose in your body because of the carbs. Every macro has pros and cons to it. Every macro has pros and cons, but they're making it seem like it is the death sentence. He also talks about the Heart Association calculator, that if you go on their website, you click on the calculator, you check to see if you are at risk for heart disease or when you will have a stroke. It massively overestimates the amount, and when they tested it, they noticed that it was massively overestimating by more than 150 to 500%. And that calculator has pushed many people to go and get the treatment that they've recommended, which are pharmaceutical treatments, and they are funded by that same pharmaceutical company. So when I first started doing this whole intermittent fasting thing, this whole movement, and I try to explain to people that there are going to be instances where you are going to be told by your doctor, who, remember, is not necessarily a nutritionist. A doctor and a nutritionist are two different things. They are given information, and they also repeat the information that they're given by specialists in that field who are nutritionists. They will tell you, hey, look, you need to take this, you need to take that, you need to take this. They don't know for sure. They just know that they can determine what you have, and they're told that these are the certain products that you should take to rid that disease or issue or ailment that you have. So it's a full-blown machine, and if you have 22 members, you could be a very heavy influence on the American health society. Now, he argues that they have not done anything in terms of what they've built. Either their strategy has to be reconfigured entirely, or they're just purposely giving you wrong information. And he points the evidence towards how people are becoming unhealthy or gaining more weight. The United States, for example, is the highest in people dying from obesity and getting all of that stuff. So that's why movements like this have to exist, because we need to be able to pierce through those actual propagandas where they tell you do not fast. Not fasting is one of the things that they try to propagate. It's just very, very tricky. And the thing is, when there's money involved fueling something, you always got to be wary. So the intermittent fasting movement is part of breaking through that truth, finding it, bringing it to the forefront, and trying to grab onto all the truths that we can. It's not easy, but there are certain people out there. Dr. Jason Fung, I know I got a lot of flack for my video where I wanted to create a discussion with Dr. Jason Fung, or a discussion about how he saw it and the consensus of the scientific industry, the medical industry. There's the consensus there, and there's what Dr. Jason Fung is saying. And I wanted to bring a discussion. I'm not saying that what he's saying is wrong, and I'm not saying that what I know from what I see is right. I simply want to create a discussion, because the discussion is the most important thing. Because the moment we decide to eliminate the discussion, or the ability to find what is real through discussion, then we are just doing the same thing that they're doing to us, that the medical industry has been doing, or the pharmaceutical industry has been doing. We're doing the same thing now in the reverse, going back at them with our thought process or our agenda. Instead, I would prefer for us to be in the most real world possible, and that is why a discussion should always be accepted. So go ahead, take a read at that article. It goes more in depth, specific things that they talk about in there, but it is really interesting to see the biggest association in the world in terms of health that guide the American health system basically funnels everyone to all these different medicines and all these different products and all these different food groups, maybe doing propaganda for money or manipulation. It is possible. I'm not saying that it is true, of course, and by the way, this is fair use of criticism based on an article, so please do not attack me. But you have to look at this with an open mind and understand that whenever money is involved and whenever billions of dollars are involved, and which is what's involved when it comes to the American Heart Association, how much of an incentive do they have to stray away from who's funding them this money? That is all I have for you guys. If you have any other questions to any other videos that I've had in the past, I will have one here, and of course I will have my subscribe button down here, so go ahead and click that to subscribe. Go ahead and click that video to watch it, and I will see you on Wednesday. Peace out.